excited because Ninjitsu November is here, but before we dive straight into it, first of all, I'm going to say hello to my co-host, Johnny, as always. Great to have you on the show. What have you been up to this morning, Johnny?
I've been going deep into the Ninja Gaiden gameplay and Ninja Gaiden lore this morning because we're deep into Ninjitsu November, and we're very happy to have Tim back on the show to help us celebrate this wonderful month of November.
Tim, welcome back. We need your Shinobi skills to carry us through. You have got some excellent ninja game-themed gameplay experience. We are very excited to have you back. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. And fairly quick succession too. I just saw you guys recently over at PAX.
Awesome time in Melbourne. So people of Perth and beyond, today we're going to talk about the 2D action platformer Ninja Games, but also some 3D action platformer games as well, all very ninja focused. But before we dive into that, we did catch up with Tim over in Melbourne. The three of us live in different cities, so it was great to catch up. And Tim was there, joined us for a day at PAX. Before we dive in, Tim, got to hear your experiences on that kind of surreal day where a few things happened. How did you find it all?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. I think that for my very first PAX experience, it was definitely overwhelming. One thing I will note is in future I will definitely have to pre-book parking there, because as soon as I pulled up, it just said car park full, online bookings only. So like quick movement over to another nearby car park, and I started walking there and seeing all of these huge anime fans and what have you, like all in their cosplay. It's like, oh man, I'm heading in the right direction. Like, and I definitely loved the attention to detail of everyone who got dressed up for the day or for the weekend. They, clearly the fandom was showing, and I couldn't have been happier to be part of it.
It was awesome. No, we had a great time, like hanging out with you. One of the kind of highlights, almost lowlights, it was a kind of a weird experience, was experiencing Ninja Gaiden 4. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But let's absolutely dive right in, fellas. So this year has been massive for Ninja Games. We've seen the release of Shinobi Art of Vengeance, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Ninja Gaiden 4, and also Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. So we're going to cover those big games, plus a couple of others where the kind of genre started as well, and a classic homage game as well. Before we do, lads, what I do want to ask from both of you is, what do you expect when you think about a ninja game? What does the ninja game genre mean to you? Tim, I'm going to put you on the spot and throw to you, Shuriken style. Call it like it is, man. What are the ninja games?
Oh man, like what we expect, hey? I have one note only for this one. I think that a true ninja game, masks must remain on all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that, like, with whenever you get films and what have you, they always seem to hire, like, some big marquee star, and they just like to see them with their mask off almost all the time, and pretty much reserve it for either their introduction, like when they had the mask on and they take it off, or like when they're suiting up for like a final battle or whatever. But I want to see a ninja in like their full garb. I want to see them just completely masked up and hiding in the shadows or sneaking through the shadows. So, that I think is key.
Awesome. Yeah. How about you, Johnny? What defines a ninja game for you? 2D, 3D, or your experiences? What is a ninja game?
So Tim there has covered off the visual aspect. I'm going to round it up with the audio aspect. And for me, I need the swishy katana sword sound effects. It's not a ninja game without that slicing and dicing sound effect. That's what a ninja game is to me, John.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I think the way I see or expect, a ninja game is like it has all of those things that you guys are saying. Like the protagonist is hidden; they're just too cool for school, and there's those classic sounds that you hear and expect. For me, it has to be the brutal gameplay, and it's not necessarily that these games are the easiest or even the funnest in some ways, but they make you feel like a ninja. You've got your full array of ninja weapons, your shuriken, your katana. You can climb up walls, which a lot of these games do. There's an element of mystery, and it's you versus the world, and it's brutal. It's brutally difficult. People of Perth and beyond, this is if you're not ready for this shit, get ready, because the ninja games are really freaking hard, and we're going to call it 100% like it is. Because you need everything in your ninja toolkit to absolutely get through a level, let alone the entire game for these. So speaking of the ninja toolkit, Tim, I'm going to throw to you. Have you got like a favorite weapon and or mechanic in the ninja games that you really like, or you want to talk about, or you want to highlight today?
Definitely got two that I can cover off there that I was thinking about last night. I think that if it's a weapon, I've got to say the classic. You've brought it up already, the shuriken. There's just something so satisfying. Similar to what Johnny called out with the katana sounds. There's something satisfying about hearing a shuriken being thrown, as well as like when it hits a wall. Particularly sound effects from films, like where you'd hear usually in quick succession, like 3 shuriken hit like a wooden wall, one after the other, and it's like duk, 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 that sounds really satisfying. It's like ASMR.
Yeah, love the shuriken sound. It's so cool.
I think I have to be a little bit greedy here. I got to throw out one more. If we're talking about like techniques,
100%.
like with jutsu, I've just got to call out or shout out the Kagebunshin no Jutsu technique from Naruto. The shadow clone technique that debuted in the very first episode of the series. I fell in love with the show as soon as I saw that, and the fact that that was considered such a high level technique, but then became essentially like almost like the core of his skill set as the series grew, and he would be able to build out from that or learn techniques faster because of that. Like the fact that it was good for training his offense and as well as his defense. I was like, this was really incredible in how they layered it into the show.
Yeah, I can hear him say it like in the back of my head, the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and he's doing the hand movements and the jumps, and it's so cool, the Naruto series in games. Johnny, what about you? What's your favorite ninja weapon and your ninja mechanic? Let us know.
I think, look, there's been lots of competition for my favorite now, having started playing Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which we're going to talk about shortly. But still, I think my favorite sort of power-up / weapon is the ninja sort of clone split function from Ninja Gaiden 2 on the NES, which is one of my all-time favorite games. And only a few months ago we talked, John, you and I talked quite a bit about Ninja Gaiden 2 in our favorite NES games special back earlier in the year. But I still love it because I love the fact that you can Ryu can split into kind of 3, and you can also stack the other abilities on that. So if you get the fireballs, you can have fireballs coming from 3 copies of Ryu instead of just 1. So it's still my favorite mechanic / power up in these games.
Nice. From Ryu to Rias. That's what happens. That's what it's called. It's so good, that power move. For me, like, my favorite weapon comes from Ninja Gaiden Black 2, Ninja Gaiden 2 originally on the Xbox 360, the nunchucks. I think the nunchucks are just so wicked. I really like that, Michelangelo as a Ninja Turtle uses the nunchucks, and you kind of think, what's the deal with these 2 sausages tied by like a chain going on? But when you see someone use them in action, like if you watch those like expert videos, or you actually pick up a legitimate pair of nunchucks yourself, which I've done when I used to study martial arts, it's just the coolest thing ever. And the way that that weapon has this thonking sound. Oh, he's whipped out the turtle's mark.
A fellow chucker, eh?
Yeah, they're just so cool. And particularly in Ninja Gaiden 2, there's this awkward kind of head like flick back, like when you bash someone with a nunchuck, and it's satisfying. It's just that the donk sound, kind of like you were saying, Tim, with the shuriken. That's really cool. Favorite mechanic? I think wall climbing. I think wall climbing's really cool, particularly from a gameplay perspective, because when with a lot of games they don't have wall climbing unless you're playing the Wolverine game on the Nintendo. But with these games, like the Ninja Gaiden games, one thing that separated them, all of them in many ways, is this ability to climb up like walls and just add that to your repertoire where you can climb up and throw a shuriken or bounce off a wall and attack someone. So yeah, definitely I think wall climbing is a bit underrated. It's kind of cool just to think you can climb up these really high areas as well. So no, there's so many move sets to discuss and mechanics to discuss. But we're gonna cover a good deal of them. So let's start before we get into the games that we've kind of played and we're very familiar with. I think we do need to go back to those PAX experiences and talk about Ninja Gaiden 4. Tim, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So Ninja Gaiden 4,
and
people,
John,
Birth and Beyond.
John, just before we get straight into the game, I think we have to tell this story about. Tim and I, the way we experienced the Ninja Gaiden 4 demo at PAX was quite a unique experience. So as those who have been to PAX know, you tend to have to queue a little bit to get into play some of these games. So Tim and I were, being good PAX citizens, queuing up, eagerly anticipating to try a hand at Ninja Gaiden 4, only for there to be a fire alarm and an evacuation of the expo hall. And lots of things happened during that time, as you mentioned at the start of the show. But Tim, I think you recall, after all the excitement of the evacuation, we get back into the hall, and lo and behold, we end up right at the same spot of the line we were in just as the fire alarm started. So that was kind of our precursor to actually trying out the game, which I thought was just it was quite amusing at the time. Would you agree, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, to get so close to being able to try the game and then turning around and seeing John, like, with his eyes wide, just going, "Get out! It's real. We need to get
Those
out
ninja
now."
skills in action. Get out! We gotta go. This is a legit alarm. And it was like, we gotta go. The Spider-Men are out there to save people, as they did.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone needs to check out the article because yes, there was entertainment to be found outside amongst the throngs of people there. But with regards to the game itself, when we did finally get to play it, I have to say I was pretty impressed. The game itself is, runs amazingly smooth as you would expect. Incredibly violent.
Even
as
for the
I'm as
ninja bar, isn't it? It's like, okay, why not?
I haven't seen like that level of CGI blood in a game in probably quite a while. But it's definitely something that I've known to expect from the Ninja Gaiden games, particularly from the Xbox onwards. I found it somewhat easy to pick up, but definitely punishing once we got to the boss. You guys might be able to speak on that as well.
Johnny, how did you find the boss? Did you make it to the boss? Did you beat the boss?
No, I did not. I did not come close to. I maybe inconvenienced the boss slightly. I definitely didn't beat the boss. I actually, the lead up to the boss fight that we got to play in that sort of 10 to 15 minute grab of Ninja Gaiden that we got to play at PAX was quite enjoyable. I enjoyed the mechanics. I enjoyed the running on the walls was fun. I really enjoyed that stuff. Yeah, but then got to the boss and it just wiped the floor with me. I barely made a dent. I think Tim persevered with the boss fight a lot longer than me. I sort of bailed out at that point. I thought, no, this isn't going to work for me today. It really what it evoked for me was there's a boss fight in Batman Arkham Origins where you come up against Deathstroke really early in the game, and it felt like a similar kind of where your reflexes have to be kind of perfect to do your dodges and stuff. And I just wasn't in the sort of mindset to get all that down. But I think I would try again if I got an opportunity to try and have another go at this game because it was visually stunning and ran so smoothly. Yeah. So, what about you, John? I know you probably had a bit of a different. You didn't have that
I didn't have the evacuation
pre-evacuation
jitters and
experience.
the long line wait and all that stuff. Yeah, when I dived into it, I think the thing with any of these ninja games is, like I was sort of saying, they're not pick up and play in that sense. Like, you did well, Tim, to pick it up quickly, but yeah, it's the kind of game that you need to learn all the nuances to master. Like, you need to get your timing right. You need to get your reflexes on and kind of up your game. You need to be able to read all the cues really quickly. I enjoyed the demo, which had us kind of navigating this kind of factory area, fighting off some ninjas, and you'd use this grapple rope function to pull yourself across, which I found interesting. And I'm really keen to dive into the full game to see how it blends the platforming with the action as well, because it looks pretty wild. But that boss fight was hard. I managed to get through the first phase. I was like, fucking did it. And then I'm like, the demo boss has multi-layers. Like, bullshit. This is what you do with the final boss. This is not what you do with the demo boss when you're trying to sell a game. The one Xbox game they're trying to sell at PAX is I'll go play Ninja Gaiden 4. And then I'm like, of course, this is not Ninja Gaiden. This is how it rolls. So it was damn hard, but it kind of, I don't know about you guys, with ninja games, it made me go, oh, okay, I can take you on. I'm gonna go skill up. I'm gonna get things figured out, and I'm gonna get through this. So Ninja Gaiden 4, looking very much to playing through more of that. But speaking on to,
And they gave me.
what's he got?
They gave us a fan for our trouble.
Yeah. Who's on it? Is it the protagonist? Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
it's
awesome.
just promotional fan. So all is forgiven, Ninja Gaiden 4.
Fair enough. You're a fan of the game now. Oh, God. All right, so on to our first game, Below Birth and Beyond. We do have a bunch of games that we're going to go into depth with. We're going to start with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is definitely the most exciting games to come out this year, let alone in the whole ninja 2D action platformer genre. Tim, I'm going to get you to kick us off. Tell us all about Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Yeah, man. Absolutely happy to. So, you guys had given me some stories, or maybe shared some of your PTSD of previous Ninja Gaiden games. But when you did tell me that we were going to be doing this special this year, I pretty much leapt at the chance. But then I realized that I didn't really have any ninja game experience per se.
But then you got it en masse. You're just like, oh shit.
Binged.
You played Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I think it was probably that Ninja Turtles experience with you guys last year. Shredder's Revenge. I was like, oh, I think I need to play some more. And Ninja Gaiden Ragebound coming out, I was, as you guys know by now, I'm very, very much happy whenever there's a sort of retro aesthetic kind of game. That generally appeals to me, and has been pretty much the bread and butter since I bought a gaming PC, because of course I just want to play really dated looking graphics on a graphical beast like a 4090 graphics card.
Yeah. That's what happens when we get old, hey.
But this game came out to pretty much universal acclaim, and I decided to bite the bullet and see how I would do with playing something like this. I think I'm just generally more comfortable with a hack and slash type game like this. I tend to sort of shy away from a lot more of the 3D sort of games, maybe because some of them can get pretty overwhelming, and I think with my gaming collection, I've tended to sort of start something and then not really be able to continue it. But this one, straightforward. There's no real there isn't a difficult sort of RPG leveling aspect. You just run through, slash everything, and it is a joy to look at. But I have to say, when I started the first course, there's an obstacle course where you're guided through by Ryu, and as soon as you go through, I think I went and ran straight into a training dummy, but immediately took damage. And then it flashed up a message and said that I failed a bonus requirement to complete the level without taking damage. I was just like, this is BS.
Ninja shame. Ninja shame.
Ninja shame. This is how these games work, isn't it? They set you up as soon as you play, you die. You're like, what
Dishonored
is
the
this?
Hayabusa clan.
I'm supposed to look skillful as this ninja, but yeah, like I just stumble through pretty much everything. I almost refunded on the spot. No.
You're the dummy. Take it back. What you dummy
But
game.
then, like even so, this is a bit of a spoiler, John. I know you haven't played it yet.
It's all
but,
good.
It's okay. I think I get the general kind of the stories with these games are fairly, familiar. Like, so I wouldn't worry about that too much.
All right, no worries. There is a great part where you do get to fight against Ryu Hayabusa, and I just remembered thinking that when I lost that fight, I was just like, man, like, am I just going to keep losing at this opening level? How do John and Johnny do this? Like, why are they so built different?
No, we couldn't do it. That's why we told you. We're like, oh, Tim, we're going to do a ninja special. Do you just want to join us and play a couple of games to catch up? We set you up massively. Yeah, that's how this game's work, man.
But I have to say, like, after sort of getting my head around it and getting my head around the mechanics and just persevering through fights, like I slowly became very addicted to this, as you guys had seen in messages. I pretty much spent every free moment I had trying to conquer this game. And thankfully, like, as I discovered, it's a lot more accessible than I thought it would be. It's not off-putting at all in terms of its difficulty. It kind of fits in that hard but fair category. I think the movement is really fun. Johnny, you mentioned quality of life mechanics. Would you say that the guillotine boost attack that you can use to sort of like hop over enemies is really good?
Oh man, like if we had that back in the day in the original NES trilogy, would have bitten your hand off for that.
It definitely makes the game that much more fun, and I think like that's part of the joy, like where the platforming goes from being like such a chore or like just being just hell in general, like to being somewhat more fun. Like it makes it it definitely streamlines the gameplay a lot more. And I think that like the sort of, well, you have like two protagonists that you get to control in the one body, Kenji and Komori. Like you genuinely feel like you're controlling badass ninjas, even though I stumble through most of the things. But you get to cut down enemies really efficiently. You get to scale walls, much like what John raised. And also you can dash through attacks at the last moment, or even something like a detail like slicing shuriken out of the air. I found that this was retro gaming heaven, but also ninja themed. But very very little for me to criticize about this game. I think like it left me really wanting more, and I think that's a hallmark of a really good game. Perhaps like I would have liked to have seen more use of Komori, because the time that I had with her was really brief. But I persevered, guys. I finished this game. I was like, hey, I've got some street cred here now with the boys.
That's what happens with that initial dummy experience. You're just like, oh my god, even the dummies knocked me down. I now have to beat this game even if I don't want to. And you've leveled up, Tim. Like you've taken on the full repertoire of ninja moves and gotten through it. I imagine it wasn't easy to beat this game at the end. Would that be a fair call? I've not played it through, Tim. Is it difficult at the end?
Yeah, like I think I had to take multiple attempts at the last boss, and it's a great fight. I think that like it really, like you were saying, it really pushes you to really adapt to all of the mechanics that are available to you. There are some like little stat boosting type relics that you can apply. I think they're or charms. I can't say for certain what they're called because I've played like quite a few different games which are somewhat similar lately.
Yeah, they all mix up the terminology a little bit, so all will be forgiven. So
but like you do have like some ways to sort of maybe help make the fights a little bit easier. But that fight like really pushed me. I just remembered feeling so overjoyed like once I did manage to beat it. I was like, hey, like I can actually play this game. But I did ask you guys this offline. I don't think you guys think that this game is NES hard at all, do you?
Johnny, that's for you. I haven't given Ragebound a go yet, but
I haven't played enough of it to 100% say it's not on the same level, but from what I've played, which isn't a lot to be fair, and I'll go into the reason I haven't played much of it, and that's a lot to do with this game being very much, I feel like it's a love letter to the original Ninja Gaiden on the NES. But yeah, this has a lot of modern quality of life stuff that you just didn't get back in the day. So it's a much smoother experience. This is fun, even when it's difficult. It's still fun. It's still more fun than frustration. Where with the old NES games, sometimes the pendulum would swing way too far to the frustration side of the spectrum. But no, I really enjoy this. I had a bit of a different experience because I waited for this to come out physical in September. And then I didn't get to it because a few other things were going on, like PAX and Spooktober and stuff like that. And I only started playing it a week ago. And right off the bat, the game takes me right back into all the nostalgic feels of the original game's story, because the game's prologue / tutorial is a sort of reenactment or lead into the opening scene or prologue of the original Ninja Gaiden from 1989. And it's beautifully brought to life in modern colors and visuals. And then quickly from there, you move on to the training session that Tim mentioned, where you're playing as a younger member of the Hayabusa clan, and Ryu is kind of like the Obi-Wan or the mentor character in this game. And yeah, from what I've played, I've really enjoyed. There's a very early stage where you're running through a burning Japanese village, and you're like slicing through demons, and there's a really fun boss fight at the end against a sort of winged demon, which I really enjoyed. So I've really enjoyed what I've played, and I'm looking forward to playing through the rest of the game. But what this game did to me, guys, is as soon as I played that prologue, I put the controller down, went to Nintendo Switch Online and pulled up Ninja Gaiden 89 on the NSO, and did a full playthrough of Ninja Gaiden from 89 on overnight last night.
Nice.
Which...
Well, we're going to... Go ahead, sir, Johnny.
No. So, but as soon as I'd done with that, I came back to Ragebound and really, really enjoying it. It's a beautiful game.
It would be cool to see your experience, like the contrast between the two, because you grew up with the original Ninja Gaiden and then coming to Ragebound. Keen to hear a bit more about that when we cover like the OG Ninja Gaiden too. All right, well, the other huge 2D action platformer Ninja game that came out this year, of course, was published by Sega, and it was also based on a really old series that was released back in the arcades, but also came out on the Sega Master System and then across to the NES, and that is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. It kind of feels like we've been absolutely spoilt for ninja games this year, with this one being just like Ragebound. I'd put it right up there with the 9 or 10 out of 10 category in terms of all-round gameplay, visuals, modern quality of life improvements. Absolutely wonderful. I kind of felt like, so I haven't played Ragebound and I have no history with Shinobi at all, but of the two and the other games that released, I was like, oh, I really dig the visual style here. This is the same publisher, Totomu, that also did the developer Totomu that also did Streets of Rage 4 and the Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap, which was like a sequel to an old Sega series. So it's also part of a broader Sega revival project that's going on at the moment, where they're looking to bring games like Golden Axe and Crazy Taxi up. So anyway, Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Essentially, you play as Joe Musashi, and it starts with your villagers being burnt to the ground. Basically, you're attacked by Lord Ruse and his evil E&E Corp. I don't know what E&E stands for. I kind of thought it sucked. I was like, oh no, evil corporations. But it actually gets interesting a bit later with how they present some of the boss fights and twists with the bosses that you do fight. I guess the main attraction to me for this game is that I find that a lot of the Ninja games are just gorgeous in their own way. They move quickly, they suck you in. But this game is hand drawn, and it is like it has this, as you could see, this gorgeous kind of painterly art style as well. The stages are just phenomenal. So, for example, even the opening stage or the second stage, you're part of like Obaru Village, and you see like this mist in the background. Like it blends that kind of like the comic book look with realistic special effects. My favorite stage is the Neon City stage, where I thought, oh, it's going to be a boring city stage. But it starts you off jumping across buildings, and you've got these giant logos in the background, like Sega, which doesn't look tacky. It actually looks really cool. You kind of feel like you're in Tokyo, like jumping across like the levels. And then when you go into the city apartments, there's all these different colored neon lights, like purples and oranges, which you wouldn't get in these kind of games typically. So it just carries you through this absolutely gorgeous art style. I like the positioning of the Shinobi, like Joe himself. Like he's not too big or too small on the screen. Like it lets you kind of focus on the action, but it doesn't feel like visual overstimulation for me. Gameplay wise, this game controls incredibly, and I think this is kind of true for a lot of Ninja games where they just control really well compared to other games. What you can do and how you do it feels like really precise, and it rewards you for learning the controls really well and getting good at the game, and just doing all this flashy stuff, but knowing you can do it effortlessly when you do it well. The moveset's fantastic. Like even like there's light and heavy attack combos, but you can just, for example, you can roll past enemy, you can ninja leap, not just a normal jump, but you can like ninja leap over obstacles. There's air juggling, all that stuff. But even the use of shurikens is wicked. Like you can do combos, and then you can do a combo backflip to throw 3 shurikens, which doesn't just do damage, but it sets up your enemies for like the instant death move, Tim, which is freaking wicked as well. I love that instant death move. So I would say this game is a lot more combat focused as a 2D action platformer. It does have some really good platforming mechanics, but when you're in fights, you've got to whittle down your enemy's health, and then when you get them to the point, this thing flashes across their head, and you're like, "That's time! It's go time, baby!" And you morph to that part of the screen where the enemy is, and you just cut through them, and it's wicked as. There's a lot here, kind of like Ragebound, I'd say, that can augment your abilities, like your upgrade abilities, and you get ambulance, like you were saying, Tim. So one of them would let you, when you're attacking enemies, you gain health through attacking enemies rather than after you're killing the enemies getting health back. But yeah, I'm in love with this game. This is a high contender for Game of the Year. I just want to look at it and play it all the time. I'm up to Lord Roos, the final boss. Fuck you, Lord Roos. I can't beat you yet, but I've beaten all your minions. I'm going to come after you next time. Tim, you've played this, and you've played it through. How did you find it?
Yeah, man. You've given an amazing summary of this game. You're 100% right. I will have to say, when I first started playing the game, because I definitely needed more ninja madness after completing Ragebound, I initially struggled with how this game is played. I was sort of thinking, like faster. Like I was so used to the faster and fluid sort of gameplay from Ragebound, and initially I didn't really love the fact that this was combo based, but as the more I got into it, the more I became a fan. So I'm sorry I doubted you with this one. This like I shouldn't have like been expecting hack and slash. As soon as like you started mixing up light and heavy attacks, I should have viewed this more as, and especially because of the people who made it. This is more of a beat 'em up game, and like that's another thing that's generally like my bread and butter type of game. And again, you're right, it looks so gorgeous to play, and I just loved how it started. It's sort of started obviously quite tragically, with what happens to his village, but then as you progress and you start fighting more of the bosses, it starts getting a bit more ludicrous, but like ludicrously enjoyable, I would say. I mean, you've got you face off against Mandara, the mountain face. I was like, holy crap, I'm fighting an actual mountain face.
Yeah, and there's an octopus boss, and then you're like, hang on, why am I fighting a freaking octopus for? This is stupid.
Like it just gets crazy, and like it's so creative. That's what I loved about it. I mean, you have a level where you're riding a dog, which made me think of direwolves from Game of Thrones. Some of the footage that's showing up, you're riding a surfboard level, like that's the
Yeah,
Riptide
that
level.
level's wicked as, yeah.
Very, very wicked. And you know, like I do have to say though, I was a little bit puzzled even by how long that cargo train level was. Like that
Too
train, I'm pretty sure that train ran the length of an entire state.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing is ridiculous in terms of how they laid it out, but you know, no less enjoyable, even though there was that. There, you know, it doesn't stop. It doesn't let up in terms of how gonzo or crazy this can get. You know, I have to say, like a lot of it is bananas, but brilliant, and you know, like it was definitely a joy to play.
Yeah, cool. It's good to hear like you still had a good time with it because I imagine it flows differently to Ragebound, and then you come off playing a game in a certain way, so it's kind of like jarring to play even just the look and feel. Even though it's a ninja game, they all play in their own unique way. I think one other thing I want to mention with this game that's really cool is DLC is coming out next year, and true to Sega form, they're bringing out some wicked like deep cuts from the Sega library, like Eggman from Sonic. So there's a few others to looking forward to that. I'll go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I will say like if I only had like one minor complaint about this game,
go for it.
You know, like the only thing that I sort of found hard to reconcile with the fact that he's on a ninja mission of vengeance
doesn't talk.
It doesn't talk. I do like that about him though. But he just grunts his way through everything. But there are a number of platforming areas that you aren't able to reach initially, and so you have to sort of go through the later stages and you know, locate the gear that enables you to be able to explore those areas. And the way that it's implemented is kind of it kind of feels a bit shoehorned in, because then you go back to the level, you know, explore that area, but you can still also like progress through the rest of the level and then get right to the end, and where you'd normally expect to see a boss, because you've beaten him, that's now just an empty spot.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and I just kind of felt that, you know, that was really very odd. But you know, like also like it sort of took me out of the believability of this mission that he's on. You know, I was thinking, you know, you're on your path of vengeance, but hold up, I need to pause this. I need to pause my revenge while I go collect some sweet gear back in, you know, like the other area of the continent.
Yeah, it's true.
I think if they'd sort of like maybe thought about like, if you get that gear later on in later levels, then maybe add those platforming challenges in the later levels. You know, maybe keep it that way so you don't have to backtrack all the time necessarily.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair point. And I did a level where there's like a secret lab. It's near the end of the game. And I thought that was actually the main path, because I just I just jumped down a tunnel. And I spent half an hour wasting time trying to get through this brutal factory of death. I couldn't do it. It's like, what is going on here? Went back to, so I was like, I just jump up and continue the level. I didn't know that was actually like part of it. It's like, screw you, game. Anyway, speaking of hardcore, I think it's time for Johnny to shine, because he's been patiently waiting to bring up the genesis of where the Ninja 2D side-scroller action games began. Johnny, tell us a little bit more about a tiny, little-known game called Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, dearie. No. To be honest, I really love the original Ninja Gaiden on NES. It's a sort of love-hate relationship. Mostly an enjoyable experience, but there's just a few spots that are very, very frustrating. But we'll come to that.
Good.
One of my favorite games on the NES was the original Ninja Gaiden. It's not my favorite in the trilogy. The third one I never played, unfortunately. It kind of came out very late in the NES generation. I think I'd moved on to the Super Nintendo. And looking into it a little bit more deeply, I don't think the third one got a cartridge release in Australia or the PAL region more generally, from what I can tell. I could be wrong about that, people of Perth and beyond, but it looks like it didn't really get a local release. So I never, unfortunately, played the third one. Apparently, it's got the reputation as being the most difficult, but the original was plenty difficult. it brings that brutal gameplay, John, that you look for, and it brings it in spades. But it also brings like a really kind of captivating story. And we've talked a little bit on the show previously in our story-focused episode, John, about what a great story and what great sort of anime-style cutscenes the original Ninja Gaiden has. But today we'll focus a little bit more on the gameplay. And it is for the most part quite fun because you have very fluid movement. You're going through, slashing through countless enemies that will constantly respawn. You can seem to kill the same enemy a dozen times. It doesn't matter. They'll just keep coming back, and it's all about moving through the stages as quickly as you can, getting to that end boss. It's all about getting through the door. You've always got to get through the door to the boss. I love the original game had great secondary weapons. You got your humble but ever reliable shuriken, simple shuriken. You get like a like fireball attack, which you can send fireballs in a sort of horizontal diagonal direction, which is really useful against one of the final bosses. Actually, the antagonist of the game is a character called the Jackie-O. He's got an interesting look. He looks like a megalomaniac who decided not to get out of his out of his hoodie. And he's the cause of all the drama in the original Ninja Gaiden game, where you're on a quest to stop the resurrection of a sort of old ancient demon king. But also one of the great power-ups is like a spinning kind of katana move, which is really, really important. You got to try and hold on to this, because in some of these sections you need it to get through the platforming, because there are enemies on every tiny little platform, and if they just so much as brush you, you'll go flying. You're the most sort of aerodynamic ninja that the world has ever seen, and you'll just go flying no matter what touches you. And there's as you get to, so the game is structured into 6 acts, and in that final act you encounter some of the craziest kind of platforming and navigation of aerial hazards. Like I have to take a moment to draw reference to the flying ninjas that just shower the screen with ninja stars or shurikens.
Bastards.
It's just, they drive you mad, and there's like enemies that are strategically perched on platforms that if you don't land in the exact pixel, they're going to knock you into the chasm, and it's game over. The bosses are really all kind of really creative. There's sort of a boss midway. There's this kind of tiger things, and there's 2 of them, and you've got to hit them.
True.
There's a kind of a dummy one, and if you kill that one, it'll spawn another one, and then you've got 3 on the screen. So it's like a cup game. You've got to keep following the correct one and keep hitting that to win the boss fight. That made a reappearance in the second one. It was such an iconic boss fight. Look, it's a wonderful game, but it's very challenging, and I think, as I've said previously, this is a game where you'll most likely fling your NES controller across the room at various points in those final stages. Would you agree, John?
Yeah, I've been playing a bit of this at nights over the last couple of weeks just to catch up, because I only played 3 actually, Johnny, back as a kid. So we're gonna have to swap stories. I never played the original; just didn't have it at the local video game store where I could rent it. But it was actually, this is really interesting, because to me this is kind of like peak Nintendo NES period, where you've got, like, it looks really good. The storytelling for an action game is actually really, really top tier. And then the move set's quite complex compared to a lot of games, even like Mario or Castlevania, which we've talked about, where you're jumping, your sword slash, your spinning jump attack, your wall crawling, you've got all your subset power moves. I love that fire special move, like it just shoots fire up. That is so useful. Like it just spreads fire, and it's such like, yeah, fuck you. Like, like that's the power you want. Yeah, and I think it's also a good game to try when you haven't played Nintendo games growing up, or you want to go and experience that era, or even a classic Ninja game, because you can get through the first couple of acts, and I swear to God, Johnny, the first two bosses are reskins of each other because they have the same moves, they do the same thing. But as you said, word of warning, this game gets, like, the difficulty spike goes right up. Every man and his dog literally comes after you. And I just noticed with this game, compared to a lot of games, is like your enemies are hitting and throwing shit even when they're nowhere near around. Like there's guys chopping at you constantly. I'm like, I'm not even near you. Calm down. Like, settle down. And there's birds and dragonflies. I don't know why the dragonflies are stationary, but then the birds are swooping at you. I'm like, what? Why are there giant dragonflies and just chilling in the air where I need to be? And then a fucking bird jumps just as I'm trying to get through. That's what
John,
Ninja Gaiden does.
I want to know what the Hayabusa clan did to birds back in the day, because birds just absolutely want to kill you like there's no tomorrow, and they're constantly flying at you and from all different angles. It's insane. The one thing I have to call out about the original Ninja Gaiden, which kind of is one of the reasons I like the second one a lot better, is that it does this thing in that with the final boss fight. The final boss fight is 3 different boss fights. So the first one it's a really cool concept. Like you're trying to free your father, Joe Hayabusa. He's been enslaved, so you find out he didn't die as you thought at the beginning. Spoilers for a 30-year-old game. But actually he'd been enslaved and he'd been turned into this, what's called the Masked Devil. And Ryu quickly, as his very clever ninja, figures out that he's under the control of this device, and he has to evade the attacks of his dad and free his dad. So you beat that first boss in the boss fight, and then because you've used up all your ammo, which they're called, you're collecting scrolls through the game. I think they're called scrolls, and that builds up your ability to use the secondary weapons. And so you've used that all up in that boss fight, and then you have to fight the second stage of the boss, the Jackio. So inevitably you die. You don't get to have another crack at it right there. It sends you right back to the beginning of the act, and you have to go through all that again to fight the second one. And guess what? Your problem, unless you're very, very good at this game, you're probably going to do that again a second time to fight the final boss, which is the Demon King, which is actually a lot easier to beat than the Jackio. The Jackio has got this infuriating attack pattern, and if you don't have the fireballs, you're going to really struggle. The final boss is not so difficult to beat. Still, on a scale, it's still pretty challenging, but nothing compared to that second stage. But it's that bringing you back right to the start of Act 6, which is just infuriating.
Tim, seeing, like, you've beaten Shinobi and you've beaten Ragebound. Like, you're on the warpath, man. How do you feel about these old school games? Like, is this, call it like it is, man, is this scaring the shit out of you? Like, to see, like, what is going on with these games? Or what does it feel like seeing the OG without all the kind of, like, modern quality of life improvements that make the gameplay experience more fun overall,
Man, like... you guys, honestly, like, you are built different to be able to finish these in a night, or even like just
look at
like
the snow, like look at the wind. You can't even move across to the side of the screen.
Just replaying them on a whim.
Yeah, just casually go and beat the third Demon King layer or whatever.
Honestly, like I have I brought this up with you guys earlier. I don't often replay games, so the mere fact that you guys are replaying these incredibly difficult games. Like, my hat's off to both of you. I would probably be happy to finish it maybe one time, and then I would put it away forever.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Put it in the cartridge.
I wouldn't resubscribe to NSO. I just, you know, like, quietly pack up the Switch, you know, whenever I do get around to buying one. And I just be like, yep, I can say that I've done that, and I did not enjoy that experience.
And you're like, I don't even want to tell people that I've played it and beaten it. I'm just like, I'm going to keep that to myself, and that's going to live
under
with
my
me,
hat.
haunt my dreams at night. And people are like, have you played that? And you're like, I don't know what that game is, but I do like Mario. You know, let's talk about something different. People. It's not a game for like I don't know, like it's not a game for anyone almost. Yeah.
I think you've got to be a little bit of a masochist to go and replay these games, because there's a lot of fun to be had, but there's definitely loads of frustration and lots of rage. That's why. So you have Ragebound and you have the Rage Induction, which is the NES version.
True rage, though. Tapping into that memories when they made that game. All right. Well, we are moving on from the 2D action platformer era to one 3D, very much more action-focused game that I've played through. I wanted to bring it up because it was one of my like beloved games on my Xbox 360. And to my delight, this year, weirdly, Xbox Studios announced in partnership with like Koei Tecmo that they were bringing a remake. It's more of a remaster in Unreal Engine 5 of Ninja Gaiden 2, which is now titled Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, this product. And it's probably the fourth or fifth release of this type of game because there's been a few different versions of it overall. Again, this is one of my favorite games that I just played overall in that era. So you play as Ryu Hayabusa. Essentially, you return to your kind of like your pad, which is like this awesome Japanese castle above Tokyo, and that's the first level, Sky City, Tokyo. And someone who's looking for you, Sonia, to tell you about the return of the Demon King, as they always return, and the rise of the Four Archfiends is coming, and she gets kidnapped by the Spider Clan, and your quest is essentially to like fight your way through each and every stage until you rescue her. Now, this game is very different to the other 2D action platformer games. While there is some platforming, like you do a little bit of wall running, but there's not much of it. And you do a bit of like, I think it's called the Flying Swallow, where you bounce up. Like, I think that's what it's called, where you bounce up between two like a really narrow area to get to the top. That's as much as you do. Like, there's a massive emphasis on combat for this game, and the combat is absolutely juicy. It's just as violent as Ninja Gaiden 4, I think, Tim, from what you saw. There are some things I absolutely love about the combat. So the way this game plays is like you've got a stage to get through, you move from one part to another, and then you just get swamped by ninjas or ninjas and their buddies, like dogs with knives in their mouths or different types of demons. And it's kind of like the movies where you're like, all right, come on, bring it. And you just like got to get into the zone and take them all on one by one, but at the same time. So you'll jump and slash a guy over here, and then you'll roll, or you kind of like dash over here and throw some shurikens, and then you pull off ninpo, which is like fire magic, and then you jump over here and you'll combo someone, and then you'll go over here and you'll finish the one off that you like maimed before. The combat is sublime. There's some really cool moves. So, for example, there's a move called the obliteration technique. So when you're chopping and cutting all your enemies, essentially you can get them to the point where they're like, you've cut off their legs and they're still crawling after you with their katana, and they've got like a grenade in their mouth, and that's when they become more deadly. Like if they hook onto you, they'll blow you up. So once you maim your enemies, you can then pull off like this super satisfying obliteration move where the camera just zooms in and you just behead them, and then you like throw the blood off and you're like, next. And that is like rinse and repeat the entire game. It does get a bit repetitive, but it's kind of satisfying. There's also another move called like the ultimate move. It's literally called the ultimate move. And this game's for you when you're learning this move at the tutorial stage. Essentially, you hold down your heavy attack button, you power up, you get blue fire around you, anime style, ninja style, and then it literally says like, hold down the heavy attack button and watch as your enemies get slaughtered and you drink their tears. And that's literally how it's described in the game. It's like, okay, I'm down for that. And it goes into this auto attack mode where you just slice everything in the screen to bits. It's really joyful. But look, apart from those techniques, it does have a really deep, interesting combat system where you can use like bow staves, you can use nunchaku, you can use dual katanas, and they play all differently. There's probably like 40 or 50 different moves per weapon set, so you really can play it your own way. And then each stage is done with a boss fight. And the boss fights, some are a bit naff, some are pretty cool. Yeah, I like the kind of, I don't know his name, but it's the guy who like draws lightning from the sky and he warps around the place. Very visually impressive. And then I also like Volf, which is the werewolf, really terribly named. He's got 4 arms. He's 3 times your size. You fight werewolves the entire level, and he's just a bigger one of those. It's a bit of a shit fight, but it feels really good when he trash talks you, and you're like, no, I'm just gonna obliterate you. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Tim, I know you have a bit of familiarity with this game, the OG version.
Yeah, like the tiniest bit of familiarity with this one. I don't really like to bring this one up, but I figure people of Perth and beyond will get maybe a bit of a kick out of this. My experience with this game was one afternoon when I decided to bring a copy of my game over to their house to play, and it was Soul Calibur 4. I'd had it for about a week. I'd played it a couple of times. I thought that, like, oh yeah, like I got a little bit of experience to like come across as like somewhat competent in this. So when we loaded it up and we started playing, I got my ass handed to me by both of them over and over again in this game. And there is nothing more demoralizing than owning a game and your friends are better than you at it. And I think at some point they must have gotten really tired of just, just handing my ass to me. They were like, "Hey, man, like we got ninjas. Let's go play ninjas." And I was like, "Oh, okay.
Ninja Lego. Let's go watch Ninja on TV. Like, anything but this game."
I was like, "What's ninjas?" And they go, "Oh, we bought Ninja Gaiden 2." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it." And pretty much, I reckon it must be like at that opening stage, like at Ryu's pad. I remember just like cutting down all of these enemy ninjas really stylishly. And got to see a little bit of like how acrobatic he was, how he'd sort of like flip around the screen like as he'd take on other enemies. But I don't think we got past like the next checkpoint after that. I couldn't progress it any further, and I was already feeling pretty crummy that like I'd just shown that like I'm such an inept gamer. But I think even those two, they found it pretty difficult. So they were just sort of like, man, like like it was just double embarrassment for me all around that afternoon.
Yeah.
But like, I have to say, like based on especially your enthusiasm and how you've described this game and summarized it for us, and after watching some gameplay, I think I did see the boss fight against the lightning opponent.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I just thought like this actually does look like something I would like to play now. Probably wouldn't try and like 100% it like Shinobi. I would probably just like try to survive it.
It's that kind of game. Yeah,
exactly. And like you said, like just try to adapt to all the mechanics. Use everything at your disposal, and like just have a blast. And I think I could probably have a blast with something like this. And if it's on sale on Steam, look, I'm just saying that like if I did put it on my wish list now, 100% I'd be buying it as soon as I get the notification that it says, oh, this is on sale now.
It's kind of that game too where you play and you're like, oh, if you do win a couple of fights, like in any good ninja game, you're like, oh, now I'm going to play it through, and you get sucked into that vortex of like, oh, now I need to beat it. Johnny, I don't think you've played this one, but how do you feel about the 3D games compared to the 2D ones? Because they are very different, and I know you're less into these kind of games, but what do you think just listening to it and looking at it like? Would you give it a go?
I was keen to ask you guys, would you recommend this one as an entry point into the 3D style Ninja Gaiden? Because I've played a lot of the 2D ones now, but I've never, aside from that little bit at PAX, I've never really played any of the 3D Ninja Gaiden games. Would you recommend this, or you reckon just go straight for 4, or what would you say?
I would say this one, and that's why I picked it, because I think like you can get 1, 2, and 3 as part of the Master Collection, which I think is
Okay.
a HD version on all the modern consoles, even like the original Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. I think that's kind of a good place to start. But this is the best one. It's the best designed, feels the best. It doesn't have a lot of little bits and pieces that annoy you. I know some people love the first one, but I think it just looks way too dated. And even the old Xbox 360 version of this does feel a bit old, which is why I recommend the modern version of this. And 3 was just terrible. 3 was just, you're fighting a Tyrannosaurus Rex in there and it's all out of whack. It's just, you really are. It's like, what else can we do? Like, what? Why is he fighting a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Well, I figure they're the ancestors of the birds. That's where it started. They're fighting the T-Rexes, and now the birds are coming for revenge.
I swear to God, by the time you finish that game, Johnny, there's like no wildlife left in the world, and that was like the actual mission.
We've solved the riddle of why the birds hate the Hayabusas.
Absolutely. Well, look, people of Perth and beyond, thanks for sticking with us throughout the episode. We do have one more game to cover, which is dear to my heart, so I'm going to hog the podcast for a little bit. But I just can't help myself because this game is it's so underrated. It's so beautiful. It's a game, as an indie game, it's just a great indie game to pick up if you want an indie game. If you want a 2D action platformer, it fits that bill too. I think in terms of entry to the whole ninja kind of action platformer genre, this is, in my view, still the best place to start despite all the games that I've played, because it doesn't have that intense level of difficulty to it. It has a lot more cleaner pick up and play vibe to it. It eases you on and onboards you in a really friendly way. There is a lot of humor throughout, which is just great, and I'll get to that. But essentially what I'm talking about is The Messenger, which is released in 2018. It's on all the modern consoles and PC. It's built to reflect that classic NES 8-bit era, but it's also got a time travel-based story where you later warp, which you'll see here, and suddenly you're in the 16-bit era as well. And I don't think I've told you this before, Johnny, but it transforms from an action platformer to a Metroidvania. So it covers two genres that way quite cleverly, in a really interesting way. But the story is kind of classic. So you're the messenger. You don't have a name. You're part of this ninja village, and you're kind of like, man, it's boring around here. What's going on? Within seconds, the Demon King rocks up, wipes out your village, and then the Western hero comes, scares him away, gives you the scroll. He's like, you gotta take this scroll with you to like the end of the game, and it breaks the fourth wall a lot. And you're like, become the messenger. So that's like what you need to do. I feel that this game just controls really well. Like, I know people speak highly, and I've said it before of games like the Mario series, but it doesn't throw enemies at you in a nonsensical level, degree that Ninja Gaiden does. It's not as fast as Ragebound, like is so quick and all over the shop, and then it doesn't have like the brutal, like the intense combat of Shinobi. It's a lot more. Here's a screen, navigate your way through the screen, climbing, wingsuit, hook shot all the way through, but in a very kind of fair way that makes you feel like a badass, but still challenging you to some extent. So it has all those classic ninja moves to it. I really love the humor. I think the humor's hilarious. Like, so you'll come across the shopkeeper on a regular basis. There's lots of checkpoints, which is great too about this game. But when you come across the shopkeeper, you kind of like get to this point where you're like, oh, I can't cross it, dude. It's really far. If I only had something like a hook shot. And he's like, no, we don't have that here. And like, oh, what about like a rope with like a needle on or something? Like all the classic names that you call the grapple hook. He's like, no, I don't have that. Don't have that. But I do have the rope dart. And it's the exact same friggin' thing as all the other games have. Like, oh, you've got the rope dart now. Like, and you can do exactly what all the other games do. It's really cute and funny that way. And I remember like there's an early boss fight in the catacombs where you fight this big hulking kind of giant thing and you beat it. Your character goes off screen, but then it zooms back to the boss. And then you're like, what's going on here? And then the boss just starts tearing up and like he's like, oh, no one will be my friend or whatever. And then the game moves on and that's it. And you're just like, oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, I don't know, The Messenger. I just love this game. Tim, I want to start with you. You've had a lot of ninja action. I get it if you're over the kind of genre, but from what you've experienced, is this something that would interest you, not going back to the NES Classic, or would you find this a bit like kind of simplistic compared to something like Shinobi Art of Vengeance or Ninja Gaiden Ragebound?
Man, I have to say that I've got a surprise for you. I just
Yeah.
bought this on Steam the other day for
Oh,
$5.
he's done it. Oh, no, I've got to shut up. Yeah. I don't work for the developers or publishers. I swear to God, I promise. Yeah. It's worth $5 though, to be fair.
You'd sold me on this game in previous interactions, and I think like after seeing that it was available on Steam, I thought I'll wishlist this, and then it did go on sale recently. So I decided to buy it, but I didn't want to tell you until today.
Nice surprise. Just like this ninja smoke bomb that's out of nowhere. That's awesome, man. No, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's interesting when it turns into a Metroidvania later. There's a bit of backtracking. It's a different type of game, but yeah, as you can see, cutting between the eras like tests your skills and looks great. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, look, I wasn't aware of that this had Metroidvania elements. Yeah, I have to check this out. Finally,
on the radar. Yeah, no, cool.
Is this would this be in your top 5 games of all time, John? You reckon?
Or in indie games, it's hard to go within the top 5 of all genres.
Like
potentially
close?
my top 5 of all time. Oh,
maybe top 10?
Very close. It just plays. It's one of those where the moment to moment keeps you in pretty much to the very end, and you're like, "This was my childhood." But there's nothing better than a modern game that captures your childhood but fixes all the qualms about it, and you're like, "This is what I would have loved to play. This is the ultimate game." And to transition between the 8-bit to 16-bit, and you're like, "Looks good at the 8-bit, looks good at the 16-bit," and then the soundtrack adjusts to each era, like it's the same track, and then it becomes more sophisticated in the 16-bit, and you're just like, oh my God, this is who created this? Like, this is, you're done. You've done enough for the world. Like, this is wonderful. So
it's clever. It's a clever mechanic then for them to have introduced that. And I think you've written about like how much you love the soundtrack as well.
Great article
home about it.
Yeah, great article on the website. Check it out. John's article on the Messenger. It's a very entertaining read.
Can play this game forever until the end of time. It's so good. But people of Perth and beyond, that is all we have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed our honest opinions about ninja games. We do love them, but do we also hate them, fellas? Johnny, any last words of wisdom for the people of Perth and beyond about ninja games in general? Anything you want to impart to the people?
So this has been a very educational episode. We solved the riddle of why the birds hate the Hayabuses, which is I'm very satisfied. But 2, I think we found out today, lads, that 30 days is not enough for Ninjitsu November. We need to establish a November 31st just to get us through all these great ninja games and through all the frustrating platform in the original.
If only there was another franchise we could talk about coming up at some time, Johnny.
I don't know if there's any other kind of ninja-based kind of tangential franchises. I don't know, John. Maybe we'll make something happen before the end of the month.
I know.
Something ninja adjacent?
Yes, people of Perth and beyond, stick around because in 2 weeks' time we are covering Mortal Kombat. How could we not do? Tim, final thoughts on the ninja game genre. You love it, you hate it. Any imparting wisdom for the people of Perth and beyond?
Oh man, I'm a convert. I have to say, I'm definitely a convert now. I have, just in the lead up to today, I loaded up both Ragebound and Shinobi just to, get into the zone, get into the mindset. Gorgeous soundtracks, really fun to listen to. They just pump you up. Both of them have a hard mode or arcade or boss rush mode, as I played in Shinobi at least. So who knows? Maybe I'll try to finish both games on a higher difficulty level. But I do have the Messenger. That one is waiting for me. So, definitely so glad that you guys had pumped me up enough to make me challenge myself. And that's what it is, really. Like I just love the fact that these games do challenge you. You got some really familiar elements from like classic gaming, such as like platformers, but mixed in with combat, and then throwing in the martial arts and what have you. And it's just an amazing recipe and very, very enjoyable throughout.
That's kind of like perfectly summarized. That they are the games that put you to the test, but then they demand that you get to that point, and they inspire you to like get to play at that level as well. But no, it's been a pleasure having you on again, Tim. Looking forward to you joining us for our next special in 2 weeks' time around the Mortal Kombat game series. But until then, that's all from the Perth Gaming Crew Show. Thanks for joining us. See you later.